First question, does India need GATT?
Of course it does need GATT. Not only India, every developing country needs GATT. We need rules. Would rather trade in a world of rules rather than in a world without rules.
But there is a section of the political spectrum in this country that believes that we should opt out of GATT till such time as we can get some of the things that are favorable to us.
It's a completely unacceptable option. If we get out of GATT, where do we go? We would still have to negotiate bilateral trade arrangements with each one of the 108 countries of the world, or at least each one of our 40 major trading partners, EC, US, Japan, and none of these countries is willing to offer us any arrangement better than what GATT is offering us.
But even in GATT, the perception with many of the industrialists is that as it is, we are in what they call an uneven playing field, and that after the GATT Dunkel draft as it exists today is signed, the playing field is going to be even more uneven for some of the sectors in India.
Well, I think that question takes in too many aspects, but let me just deal with two of them. First, this complaint about a level playing field is between the Indian company and the multinational. That is a separate argument. Now, if you're talking about unequal world trading environment, it is unequal. It is a cruel world. It is an unequal world where India's share is 0.4%. Unless our share significantly increases, we can't have a major say in framing world rules, but we have to make an effort.
But does that mean that we have to be, as the perception is, bullied by what the Western world thinks we should be given, the crumbs, so to speak?
We're not being bullied. We can choose to be ignored. We can just walk out of GATT. With or without India, there will be a GATT agreement. And then what happens? We still have to go back to each of these countries and say, please give me most favored nation status. Please give me a trading arrangement. It is better to do it under the GATT system rather than do it independently and separately with 40 countries.
What I perceive from your tone is that we are in a no-win situation.
That's not entirely correct. When we started, of course, the dice was loaded heavily against us. But over the last 2.5 years, by patient negotiation, by the skill of our negotiators, by asking for support and sympathy from leading countries, we have been able to win a large number of clarifications and a large number of concessions. If you look at the GATT proposals, with the concessions, with the clarifications, I think on balance, which we should accept rather than reject. If the option is accept or reject, join or leave, I'm afraid the option is to accept and join.
Let's take details of some of the proposals that are being thing. It is perceived again that the Dunkel draft will really work against our farm sector, that the public distribution system will be scrapped, that the patents on seeds will ensure farmers will have to pay a higher price, and in terms of royalty. All these fears have not yet been allayed.
Each one of this is wrong. It has not only been allayed, it has been answered. But someone who raises this question must be willing to listen to the answers. Now, you mentioned three things. First, seeds need not be patented. Now, that's a clear statement we've got out of Geneva. Farmers' rights will not be affected, researchers' rights will not be affected, but plant breeders' rights will be protected. Seeds need not be patented. We can have a sui generis system. Two, that the second point you mentioned was?
Public distribution system will be
wrong again. It has no impact on public distribution system. What Dunkel proposes is that producer subsidies should be reduced, not consumer subsidies. It has nothing to do with PDS at all.
But when you come to a thing like pharmaceutical industries, now there is a kind of a perception in all the developing countries, not just in India, that the healthcare cost is going to go up by 500 to 800%, and that large sections of the population will be without a healthcare because of the Dunkel draft if it's accepted as it is today.
Again wrong. Now, again, of 270 drugs which the World Health Organization lists as essential drugs, only 10 to 20 are on patent. The rest are off patent. There is no bar to manufacturing those drugs here. The only empirical study made so far is one by Arvind Subramaniam, which estimates that as a result of the Dunkel proposals, patented drugs prices will go up in India between 20 to 70%, the average being 45%. But for every patented drug, there will be a previous generation of patent drug. And patent drugs also will go off patent. And if there are more than one patented drugs, the chances are that one or both of them will license it to be manufactured in India. Prices will go up for patented drugs, for the small number of patented drugs, but that's inevitable. It costs $200 million to develop a new molecule or a new drug. Now that has to be recovered.
Yeah, but you know, they say that if you take up royalty payment of the $200 million, all you have to pay is something like 4%, and you can still, you know, the drug manufacturing company can cover that cost.
Who's preventing an Indian manufacturer from securing a license to manufacture patented drugs? In fact, two major manufacturers who did reverse engineering in India for the last 10 years have switched over. And they have now said, as a matter of policy, they will not do reverse engineering, but they will get licenses to manufacture patented drugs in India.
You know, the perception is that Indian drug industry is going to be hit because, unlike other countries where 90% of the multinationals operate, 70% of the drug industry is Indian national companies, and they are going to be hit.
But what do they do? Have they produced a new drug? They only do reverse engineering. What the Western world calls theft, what we call reverse engineering, has given them a large amount of profits. Has there been any R&D? Has there been a new drug produced? Afraid no.
You know, but one area which of course is a concern with everybody is textiles.
Yeah.
And there they feel that with the quota system prevailing, and now with NAFTA coming in, the extension of this, you know, 10-year transition period, it's going to affect India and Pakistan more than any other country.
Yes, it will. It will. MFA is unfair, it's anti-trade, it's anti-GATT. MFA has been there for some years now. When they wanted to roll over MFA, the only country which stood with us was Pakistan. Now the 10-year phase out and the backloading is unfair. It's disappointing to us. But that is the best concession we could get. No other country would stand up to us. At the time of vote, only Pakistan voted with India. Not Bangladesh, not Jamaica, not Hong Kong. No other major textile exporter stood by India. I think we'll be lucky and we should be happy if the phase out is not extended from 10 to 15 years as Mr. Clinton has threatened. I think the government is going to stand firm and demand that the phase out should be less than 10 years, or at least stick to the 10-year phase out period.
But doesn't that sound a little unfair, that on the one hand you be given concessions of what the Western world, Mr. Clinton and his colleagues want, and when it comes to a crucial area like textiles, where we have a chance to increase our exports, we have to give in only because they have the muscle power?
It is unfair. I mean, I said so. It is a cruel world. It is an unequal world. If India had a 10% share of world trade, or even a 5% share of world trade, the world will listen to us. When we have a 0.4% share of world trade, how many will listen to us? It is unfair. But then the way to beat the system is to join the system, increase your share of world trade, and when the next round of negotiations takes place in 6 years or 10 years, ask for better bargaining position. Today we are in a very poor bargaining position.
So you feel that by 15th of December, we will be the signatories of GATT? I mean,
no. On 15th of December, only the Trade Negotiating Committee will conclude its discussions. There will be a ministerial meet in April '94. And after that, I think we have about 8-9 months to tie up the loose ends. I'm sure that between December and April, and again before the end of next December, we will get most of the clarifications that we want. There will be disappointments. The world is not going to give anything to us on a platter. There will be disappointments. We have to accept those disappointments, join the world, trade better, get a larger share, and be prepared for the next round of negotiations.
Thank you.
Thank you.